Welcome to MILF.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we are two moms into literary freedom. Hey, Jennifer, are you excited about our new Patreon account?
Yes, I am.
I am super excited about the name, which I have to admit was not my idea. But when I heard it, I was like, that's got to be our name. It is the Milfia.
I love it.
Yeah. So we are on Patreon now because our podcast is changing a little bit. We will have ads at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of our podcast because this is not cheap. Things cost money. But we still want to offer ad-free listening to those who want it. So you can do that by joining the Milfia on Patreon.
And you get to have this cool name.
Yeah. Right. So we've got lots of ideas. You should see our text messages. It's mainly throwing ideas to Jennifer and Jennifer being like, that's too much.
Feeling a little overwhelmed.
Bring it back. But I'm an idea person. Like I always have all these ideas. So I think the one thing for sure that stuck to the wall for me anyway is the pottery aspect, because I have like a whole pottery studio. I'm lucky that someone gifted it to me. I don't even know this person. It was just like, I got so lucky. My neighbor knocked on my door and was like, hey, do you do pottery? Right. And I was like, I mean, I like pottery. They're like, well, I have this friend and he's getting rid of all of his pottery stuff and he just wants to give it to someone. I was like, okay, you can
I
give
didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, because like pottery is the like whitest, most expensive hobby. It's like skiing. Like
it is pricey because I was like, oh, that looks like a fun thing to do. You know, me with my older daughters, we can go do like pottery one night.
mm-hmm.
You know, I like doing crafts. And then I priced it and I was like, you know what? We can do something else.
Yeah. Like that.
We can paint at home or something.
Right. Or like, you could do like paint and sip. Like that's way more affordable, where you get to like, drink wine and like paint a picture of a cat. Like, but like the pottery is expensive because of the materials, like the clay and the kiln. And so I mean, I did have to pay to install like this special plug to plug the kiln into. But other than that, everything was free. And so I was like, this is a sign from the universe that I need to start doing more pottery because I really love doing it. And so I'm practicing right now on making a coffee mug like that is the same size as another coffee mug. I'm like trying to make coffee mugs that look the same.
Got it. What is that called? There's a word for it, and it's of course
consistency.
Yes, but that's not the word.
Probably a better word.
We'll go with that one.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying, but of course I don't know.
Right. It's like right at the tip of my tongue, and I just can't get it. But
yeah,
it'll come to me like at 12 p.m. tonight.
Right. Quality control, maybe? QC quality control? No,
it's not that. It's similar to consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you get what we're saying. But anyway, that's what I'm working on right now because every time I make a mug, it looks different. But I have been experimenting with like different designs and different things, and they all kind of relate to what we talk about on this podcast. And the one I know I'm going to do is it's going to have the Milfia logo on it, which I think I sent you, right? It kind of looks like the Mean Girls burn book.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, okay. So it's, like just picture the Mean Girls with Lindsay Lohan. Come on, not the new one, the old one, right? The new one was good. I'm not going to complain about it.
I haven't watched it.
You haven't?
No.
Oh my God, it's pretty good.
I finally watched Beetlejuice for Mother's Day. The new one.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Watched that one? The new one?
No.
It was good.
Okay. Well, I'll watch Beetlejuice. You watch the new Mean Girl.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just going to be a mug with like the burn book for Mean Girls, but instead of, Mean Girls, it says Milfia. Something else, something like that. So when you join the Milfia, you can get a free mug. Right?
Yeah. And maybe if I can get my ass around to doing it, some t-shirts.
Jennifer makes t-shirts.
Like some sort of merch.
Right. Yeah, we're working on it. But I mean, we just got to start with baby steps. So just get over there, sign up to be to join the Milfia, because Another thing we know for sure we're going to do is like a book club. Once we get enough members in there, we'll do a monthly book club where we talk about one of the books that we cover.
Mhm.
And this will look like a Zoom call where we, talk about what we liked about the book, what we didn't like about the book, how it relates to society and what we're seeing and all that stuff. And that way we can just be our own happy little Milfia community who are resisting fascism and
Yep.
authoritarianism and now kleptocracy. That's a new one. Did you see it?
Oh,
Yeah,
what
because
does that mean?
I think it means because he accepted a gift from as like a private jet from Saudi
Good
Arabia.
chat.
Yeah, so the bribery aspect of it, which come on, I mean, it's not new. It's just becoming more egregious.
Right.
And I think that's what kleptocracy means. There's all these newfangled words that I have to keep up with.
Right. Because klepto, I always thought related to like stealing, you
Yeah.
know?
I think
So,
kleptocracy is well, and watch, I'm probably going to eat my words on this, but the posts that I've seen that I've been seeing have been relating to him accepting this like egregious
yeah.
gift or whatever from Saudi Arabia.
When has that ever been allowed? You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And I mean, it doesn't make sense that like Biden got so much shit for forgiving student loans, but here we have Trump accepting a jet.
Yeah.
And the fact that like I mean I think we've talked about why there hasn't been as many calls for impeachment because they need House support, right? They need the Republicans to get on board with impeaching, and the Democrats don't think that that's possible. And for the longest time that confused me, and it still to a degree confuses me. But then
Mhm.
I saw something about how these Republican legislators are being threatened if they don't go along with the admins, voting, right? It's like, oh, admin wants you to vote yes on this bill. Admin wants you to vote no on this bill. And if you don't do it, like they've been being behind the scenes threatened. Like I think
Right.
like, signal chats, right? Where
We're
um,
basically in a big mafia
yeah,
now.
yeah.
This is it's wild. I am shocked by the things that are happening and
Mhm.
being allowed to happen. Speaking of threats, did you see the judges that are getting threats?
No,
Um,
I just know
so
that the last one got arrested, but I'm not surprised.
right. Well, there was the judge, and I don't know her name. I never know names, sorry. But her son was killed by a man who came to the door, shot him, and
Uh-huh.
injured the husband, but the husband survived,
Oh no.
right?
Yeah.
This was like someone she had tried a case for
Hmm.
and was a crazy person,
Hmm.
unwell person.
Hmm.
Uh, but now the threat is they're sending pizzas to people's houses, to judges' houses.
Oh,
Basically, like we know who you are, we know where you live.
yeah.
That's where the threat is. But this is where it gets really nasty. They're
Hmm.
sending it, and the sender is the son, the deceased son.
Oh, that's
Like, how
awful.
low can you go?
Yeah, and especially to like send it to the highest person in law. Like basically there's nothing you can do about this. And that's what scares me the most is that judges are losing their power. Like they're saying don't do this, don't do that. You can't threaten a school, with taking away their money unless they get rid of DEI. Like judges have said that's illegal, but it's still happening. And
Right.
like our democracy is crumbling before our
Yeah,
eyes.
it's terrifying. Lawyers,
Hmm.
they're being threatened, and now they're like signing up to take on pro bono cases for
Hmm.
causes that Trump believes in. It is very scary.
But I
Very,
think
very
on the flip side of that, there is a large group of lawyers that are resisting, and that's what this podcast is all about: is to talk about the different ways that we can resist. If you're a lawyer, one of these ways is to say, no, I'm not going to do your dirty work for free or even paid, right? And
right.
so there is a large group of lawyers, and the ACLU and other organizations that are saying no, like we're going to fight you and we're going to resist.
Did you see the universities? They're also joining forces to like fight back.
Yeah,
So
yes,
instead of being like
finally.
Harvard on their own, it's
Mhm.
gonna be okay, we're all gonna collectively join forces and like pool our resources to fight. So if you come for one school, you come for them all.
And
And
that's
that's
so
what we need
smart.
to do.
And I'm
Yeah.
still pissed off at like Columbia and Harvard for suspending students for, students that are non-citizens, but they're here legally, okay, but they're not US citizens, right? And they're speaking their mind, and they're calling, a spade a spade. They're calling out the genocide in Palestine, and they're getting suspended and deported, right? Well, suspended by the schools and then deported by DHS. So I'm still mad at like Columbia and Harvard and
Yeah.
other universities that are not supporting their students in that regard. But of course, when it comes to their money, they're going to be like, whoa, 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 we need to do
Right.
something about this because now we're losing money. Well, okay, where the fuck were you when you were losing important students?
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I am happy to see that something is being done because this administration is trying and in some cases successfully sowing fear. Is it sowing? Sowing, yeah, I think it's sowing.
So, yeah.
Sowing fear into our hearts and minds, right? And that's the last thing that we need to do. We need to stay brave and we need to resist this tactic of like trying to scare us, which is what we saw when who was it that went to the prison in Maryland and they got arrested?
Oh, yes. Was it
They
Maryland
were
or that was New
assaulted.
Jersey?
What?
Rosa, I think was his
No,
name.
no, you're right. It was New Jersey, and they went on like an inspection visit. Like they
Right.
were inspecting the prison, and they were like I don't want to say beaten, but they were hit. They were knocked around a few times, and they were like violently detained.
Yeah. No, and he was arrested, right? And
Yeah,
a judge had to like order his release.
yeah. And that's a fear tactic, right? They're trying to scare us. They're trying to scare us into silence and into not doing anything about it. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah. And I've heard also that they want to go after like people in Congress, in the Senate, um,
Mm-hmm.
if they speak out against him. So it is very scary, but I think the key is not to stay silent and
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
fighting.
Easier said than done too, especially for us. Like, I don't have ICE knocking on my door saying like, whatever it is that they're saying, they're bullshit lies. They don't even have like warrants. Judges aren't going to sign warrants, right? And so they're just completely lying. But this episode is not really supposed to be about that, even though right now it seems like it does seem like that's kind of the main thing in the media. But because did you know that it's not April anymore? Oh my God, it's May. Did you know that April was
It
sexual?
makes too, but it's going by so fast and it's crazy.
I was like, wait, I thought it was April. But the reason I wanted to do this episode is because let's see, I have it right here. April was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and Trump issued a proclamation dripping with offensive anti-immigrant rhetoric and unsubstantiated claims that immigrants were responsible for sexual violence, regardless of decades of research revealing that most survivors are assaulted by someone they know. And we talked about this in the interview we just finished with Dr. Holly Richmond. And I think the number she used was like 88% of sexual assault is by someone you know. It's not by an immigrant in a dark alley.
Right. That's like very not I don't want to say rare because it happens way too often, but it's not the main cause.
Right.
It's always your uncle, your pastor,
Your partner.
grandfather, your father,
Mm-hmm.
your friend from high school that you hung out with
Mm-hmm.
and trusted.
Mm-hmm. Your past. Yeah, you said that. Your coach. Um, and so that's what I want to talk about today. And we don't have a new book to relate this to, but we've covered so many great books that this relates to that we're just going to sort of like highlight them.
Right.
The first one that comes to mind is The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. And then anything by Toni Morrison, especially
Right.
The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, more specifically. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya
Yeah.
Angelou.
We
Uh,
just finished doing Speak.
Speak by Laura Hals Anderson. Lori?
I
Lori.
think close enough. We're
There's too much for us to remember. I blame it on my ADHD. That's fine.
listen,
Miss
I'm just proud that
Sanders,
we can remember the titles.
right? Right? We're good. We're winning at podcasting, I
That's right.
think. But anyway, those are just Sold by Patricia McCormick.
Yep.
Those are just a few books that we've covered on this podcast that you could go back and listen to. Actually, we did not cover I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings yet, but maybe we should cover that one.
Yeah.
We could do it right now. We could just say that we're covering I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Well, I'm not ready for that one yet. I have to read it.
Okay,
I
fine.
haven't read that
Fine.
one
You
yet.
know what? I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings deserves its own episode. So I'm not gonna, yeah, do that. So I'm gonna let you read it. I read it. It was the first book that I read as like a teenager that opened my eyes. And that really helped me like realize
Yeah.
that I wasn't the only person in the world. And
Mm.
now it's banned. But anyway, we will cover that at a later date. But speaking of Trump's terrible proclamation scapegoating immigrants as the rapists, right? And that's why he's getting rid of all kidnapping, illegally kidnapping and deporting these people. Um, I have a very long list of people in leadership roles who have abused girls and women that are not immigrants.
Starting at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, starting at the top. Have you heard of Treva and Christine Edwards?
No.
So this is I think a couple. So and it is important, and we talked about this with Dr. Holly Richmond. Um, it's not just men, right? Women are implicated as well in this, but it is mostly cis men as we see in these news stories. But it is important to note, that what did she say? Like there are good men out there, and we're not
Right.
saying that. Well, this isn't a blanket statement that like all cis men are terrible, right? We're not man haters.
Right. Right.
Jennifer's like, speak for yourself. No, I.
Right. 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 Sure. But no, I mean, it's not all men. It's most men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to know which ones we can trust. So we have to assume they're all bad for
Yeah.
our safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. All right. So Treva and Christine Edwards are from New Jersey. This couple operated a religious ministry in Orange, New Jersey from 2011 to 2020, during which they allegedly coerced members into forced labor and sexual acts under threats of divine punishment. Treva Edwards faces charges of sex trafficking and reportedly assaulting a woman and coercing her into an abortion, claiming that it was God's will. So,
Wow.
yeah. And 20 years ago, or even I don't know how many years ago, 20 to 30 years ago, a story like that would be like huge, right?
Right.
Now
Right.
it's like I didn't even have you heard of that?
Not at all.
Yeah, never heard of
Not
it.
even because now it's so common.
Yeah.
Like, and cults are known for this.
Hmm.
A lot of cults always have some sort of the leader is how somehow I can't speak abusing women
Yeah,
one way or another.
and connected to Christianity in some way.
Right.
I
Using the
mean,
fear of God to get away with it.
yeah, which we'll get to later, but oh god, it makes me so mad. Here's another example of a Christian uh man, quote Christian, because he's not really Christian, right? Christopher Willett from Mississippi is the pastor of a First Presbyterian Church in Crystal Springs, and he was arrested in March of 2025, so 2 months ago, on multiple charges, including statutory rape and possession of child pornography, following allegations from a victim who approached the police with a psychologist. Roger Strong from Indiana, a retired pastor from Orland Church of the Nazarene, was charged with multiple counts of trigger warning, child molestation, and admitting to abusing a 5-year-old girl on several occasions between January and May of 2024. So last year. A female pastor, I'm assuming their name is Ashley Krause from North Carolina of
I
New.
think Ashley is a male name as well.
Let's double check because I have the source here. But oh yeah, it is a man. Wow. I have never met a man named Ashley. Have you?
I think I have. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I have.
My name is Courtney, obviously, and it is a very androgynous name. I think I've met more male Courtneys than I have female Courtneys.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, see, Courtney, I would always assume female. Ashley too, but
Mhm.
then I have heard of male Ashleys, and then that's why I was like, oh, okay, could be.
I've heard of male Lindsays, which is funny because my mom, I have a twin sister named Lindsay, and I'm like, Mom, why did you pick two androgynous names for your twin daughters? Like
Right.
Courtney and Lindsay. Very I don't know, very androgynous. But
Huh.
the my maiden name is Green, which I think I that's the name I use for this podcast, so that comes
Right.
as no surprise. But there actually was an NFL player named Courtney Green for a long.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never met a guy named Courtney.
Yeah, I've met several. Hmm.
Wow. Okay. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm used to hearing like, Alex for a girl, like,
Yeah, for
and
Sam.
that's my daughter.
Yeah,
Sam,
yeah.
both of them.
See that you're the one naming your daughter's androgynous.
Yes. I
Yeah.
gave them the full feminine names, Samantha, Alexandra, but
Hmm.
I like to use, their masculine name.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean by masculine, but
Yeah. What
and in
would
my
you
head,
say? Neutral? Neutral?
yeah, neutral. But you know
Neutral.
why I did that too?
Mm.
Because I thought when they applied for jobs,
Yes.
they can use their shortened name
Yeah. Sam. Yeah.
and because get some male privilege in there to get the interview.
Go. Dude, that is so smart. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't my daughters will not have that luxury. Yeah. Anyway. Um So yeah, Ashley is a man. Thank you for pointing that out. The pastor of New Vision Baptist Fellowship in Granite Falls was sentenced to 10 years in prison after authorities discovered over 10,000 images of child sexual abuse material on his home and church computers. What date was this? I want to look that up.
10 years is not enough,
No. Oh, this was like February of this year.
but it's
February.
a high sentence compared to what I've heard others get.
True. Yeah. Um, yeah, the article goes into greater detail. But just the point of this is these are just the people that have been caught.
Right.
And nowhere have I read that drag queens are doing this, you know. But the theme that I'm picking up are pastors at churches.
Mhm.
Like here's another one. Jose Lozano leading a congregation at Zion Assembly Church of God was arrested for allegedly sexually abusing two foster children under his care. Mike Bickle from Missouri, another trend I'm seeing are southern states, North Carolina, Mississippi,
In the Bible Belt.
Texas, Missouri. Although I will say, there's one in California and New Jersey. So, um, Mike Bickle, the founder of International House of Prayer, which is
Okay.
come on. Okay, in Kansas City, Missouri was dismissed in 2023 after confessing to sexual misconduct. Investigations revealed allegations from multiple women, including claims of child sexual abuse dating all the way back to the 1980s. And then Robert Morris of Texas, the senior pastor of Gateway Church, admitted in June of 2004 to a moral failure involving a preteen girl between 1982 and 1987. The
Just a
victim,
moral failure.
yeah, it was just moral
Commit a
failure.
crime, he was just tempted by.
Yeah, it's okay. He just has to,
Pray about it.
he's just gonna pray about it. And that's the
And
thing about when I see so many Instagram, social media posts about like you are full of sin, but if you just accept Jesus into your heart, it's like you can just do whatever you want because Jesus just forgives you.
right.
I feel like that's problematic.
It I that is honestly really what started to sway me into, I mean, a lot of things got me out of religion,
Mhm.
but things like that really got me because I'm like, so you're telling me that this man who did horrible things his whole life
Mhm.
on his deathbed accepts Jesus Christ and he's golden.
Yeah.
But the 22-year-old who never did anything wrong
Hmm.
just was so upset with life and took his life.
Is
He's dead forever.
yeah. Fuck that shit. Mm-mm. That's it right there.
Right. Yeah,
Hmm.
that doesn't make sense to me. And
Mm-mm.
also, like, it's God's will, you
Mm-mm.
know, So you're telling me God could have stopped the rapist from going into that child's room and doing what he did,
Mm-mm.
and he just let it go because it was God's will.
Yeah.
It had to happen for some reason. This child had to go through that for God's will to happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with like cancer. Like, oh yeah, the 3-year-old was supposed to die of brain
Right.
cancer. Like, no, I don't buy it. That's bullshit. Hmm. Um,
Either he's all powerful and he can do these things and prevent these things from happening.
mhm.
He's not that powerful.
Correct.
Or he's not that good because he allows things like that to happen.
Yes, I agree. And that's like that's the philosophical discussion right there. Is like what it make sense. The math isn't
Right.
mathing. But you know what this reminds me of is, and I've asked you this before, and I can't remember what you said. Have you seen The Righteous Gemstones on HBO Max?
We've talked about it, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna watch it, and
Okay.
then I don't.
You have to watch it. So it basically it this conversation reminds me of it because like it's 3 siblings who are part of this evangelical like mega church, right? And they're so funny. It is the funniest show I've ever seen. But basically they can just be complete assholes because they have Jesus's forgiveness, right? And the show is more just a comedy, right?
Right.
It doesn't, I mean, the writers are amazing. Okay. Like this is one of like many shows that this guy has created. Danny McBride. I'm sure you might not recognize the name, but like you would recognize his face. He's in Vice Principals, he's in Kenny Powers. They're just these hilarious shows. But this one is it was very political. And it's just like a really fun way to be like, yes, this is a analogy for the society that we're living in,
Yeah.
and this does suck, but I'm going to watch it and laugh.
Right. I need to watch it. I'm
Hmm.
gonna do it.
Yeah,
Remind me. Send me a text tonight and be like, "Are you watching it?"
yeah,
Because
it's on Max, so you have to have Max. Yeah,
oh, damn, I don't have Max.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, there are several seasons of it, so you might be able to find it somewhere else. I
I'll
don't know.
look.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it just ended. Um, and in the I this isn't a spoiler, but in the one of the last episodes, the uncle whose name is Uncle Baby Billy, and so they call him Uncle Baby. The whole show, they're just like Uncle Baby, and they got these southern accents. But anyway, he drives a cyber truck, and it's just so funny. Like,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is all to say that while these like leaders in positions of power are sexually abusing people, including police officers like Dariel Kies de Villa from Florida, a former Kissimmee police officer, was arrested in July of last year for allegedly soliciting and receiving sexually explicit material from a minor that he met while on duty. Okay. And then one all the way in the United Kingdom, David Carrick, a former officer with London's Metropolitan Police, sentenced to life imprisonment after pleading guilty to numerous sexual offenses. There are so many other cases of police officers abusing their
Yeah. I know I just heard of one recently this week. It was like a state trooper.
yeah, yeah. And
And
any true crime podcast you listen to will have episodes about how state troopers or police officers pulling women over in the middle of the night. Like, oh, I just heard of this thing where it's like if women are getting pulled over by police, they don't ever they shouldn't at least pull over until they're in a brightly lit area with witnesses, right? But
right.
up until recently, like you could get charged with like a crime for not pulling over like right away until I don't know.
Know that, but I've always told my kids, my girls, I'm like, if that ever happens where you're getting pulled over,
Mhm.
one, because there's people who pretend to be cops and
Mhm.
they're not, and
Mhm.
two, because we can't trust cops all the time. Um, I would some call 911 and say, hey, I'm being pulled over. I just want to confirm alone, the street, I'm on this street, it's
Oh,
dark.
right. That's a great
Um,
idea.
can you confirm that this is a real cop? And
Yeah.
then also like logged,
Hmm.
they know that you got pulled over. So if the cop is just pulling you over, faking it,
Hmm.
there's a record.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good idea. I think we talked about that before, but yeah, and So I was listening to this podcast with my daughter in the car, and I was like, listen, because you're
Mhm.
going to be driving soon. And when you are, like, do not pull over until like you are in a well-lit place with witnesses. But I just couldn't believe it. Like that's how clueless these men who are like, oh, well, no, that if they don't pull over right away, then they're in trouble. It's like, well, why do you think they're waiting to go to a gas station? Like
Right.
they don't even think about it. But
Yeah. No, men truly do not realize all the things that go through our heads
no,
when something's happening. They
no.
don't realize how we're in constant, not that we're living like in constant fear, because I don't consider myself someone who walks around like
Right,
constantly scared,
right.
but I am constantly thinking of scenarios of
You're
things that
aware.
happen. Very aware.
You're
Yeah.
constantly aware. You can't just like daydream and not pay attention to your surroundings. Like you have to
Right.
constantly be aware of, and people in the military I think would understand that because like they're trained to constantly be aware of their situations. Well, like
Right.
that's just what women do,
Right.
or at least the ones that are paying attention, or the older ones who've lived through it and don't want to live through it again.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's, if you, I mean, they say like women love to watch true crime shows and things like that. It's more research. Like we're trying to figure out what we need to avoid doing,
Mm.
what we should be doing.
Or because it's like we relate to it on such a different level where it's like, it's the same with like reading banned books or any books. It's like, well, I'm going to read this book because it's about someone like me. And I
Right.
have this connection now with this book where I feel validated, right? Listening to true crime validates me in why I walk to my car with my keys in between my knuckles. So,
Right.
it's one of many reasons that we listen to true crime that, you know, a lot of men just don't understand, or they like write off as like silly or
Right.
irrational or whatever it is that they do. But so we've got pastors or religious leaders, we'll say. We've got law enforcement uh leaders, and then we've got coaches, which those fucking coaches, because as a public educator, I'm on the side of the public teachers, right? But
Right.
there have been teachers and coaches, and I've been in the education, field for 15 years. And the ones that I have, and that's not even counting my time as a student. So if we count that
Right.
time as a student, it's been cis male teachers and coaches that have crossed the line.
Yeah.
It's not been drag queens. It
Nope.
hasn't been members of the LGBT community, right? And it's not illegal immigrants. Again, I hate that term, but it's not people that are not legally US citizens.
Yeah, no. And if I've had this conversation with my husband, I'm like, yes, sure. There are men who are here illegally who have done bad things. But it's not because they're here illegally that they did the bad thing. It's
Mhm.
because they're men. That's a problem.
That's such
It's
a good point.
it's we lump them into the men group,
Right, right,
not their legal status,
right.
because there's plenty of men here who are here legally or born here, citizens, and they're doing the same exact thing that this
Exactly.
what connects them is their manhood
Right.
or
But
just they're bad people, like
yeah,
bad
yeah.
people.
Yeah, and that's why on that list that I was reading to you earlier, there's a few people, that are not white.
Right.
The one from India and a couple others, uh that are just they're cis men, and yes, there are exceptions to every rule, but if you look and there is data to back this up, it's probably not available anymore because Trump has gotten rid of all of it. But there is data that profiles these people these abusers, right? And the overwhelming majority of them are cis men.
Right.
Meanwhile, we have the gay hairdresser who was on the plane, one of the first people to be kidnapped,
Right.
because that's what it's called. And Andre or and it's spelled Andry, so I don't know how you would say that.
I've
Andre.
heard Andre, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Andre, Hernandez, a 31-year-old gay hairdresser. He's the one, and everyone has seen this picture, that the Time magazine photographer got praying like this as his hair is being shaved off right before he was sent to CCOT.
Right.
And in his story, which when that picture was shared, we didn't know his name, but as time has gone by, like we kind of have a little bit more of a backstory on him. He sought asylum from Venezuela. He made an appointment in Mexico to seek asylum, and he was granted legal asylum, and he came to the States legally. He is not a citizen, but he was here legally. Okay.
Right.
And he was targeted because of his tattoos.
Tattoos.
Yeah.
It's the way they make things up and just, you know, it's wild. Like I can't get past it. Did you see the interview? Talking about tattoos. And I don't think his tattoo, it was something like an autism awareness tattoo. Was he the one that had the autism awareness tattoo?
I've heard something, but I don't know if it was him. There have been
Okay,
so
I'm not
many
sure
cases.
either. But yeah, these tattoos are so like random that they're like, yeah, that's a gang tattoo.
Mhm.
So the other guy that's been on the news a lot, Abrego Garcia,
Oh yeah, Abrego Garcia.
MS-13. So he does have a knuckle
Mhm.
tattoo, right? And it's got like something like I think one knuckle is like a marijuana leaf or something. Another one's like a smiley face.
Mhm.
Um, and then I don't remember what the other two are, but it's random things, right? There is no actual M
Mm-mm.
at 1 or 3.
No, that was photoshopped.
It was Photoshop. And it was like Photoshop to, I guess, imply what his tattoos mean.
Yeah, like M for marijuana, S for I think it was like the smiley
Or
face.
smiley face. Which I
Yeah.
told my husband, I'm like, if he's Hispanic, we don't say smiley face.
Uh-uh.
So how did that doesn't even like make sense. I'm not even sure what
Let's just say M was for, the marijuana was for M, and as the 13 didn't make sense. The one
yeah,
and the three, like you lost it. It was like
right,
maybe we can have circumstantial evidence for court, right? But no, not even. It's not even circumstantial because the one and the three didn't make any sense.
right. Yeah. They're just like, well, but we're gonna put it on there.
Hmm.
And then he, and I'm talking about Trump here, I'm
Hmm.
this so incompetent that
Hmm.
he's swearing up and down that
Hmm.
he has MS-13 tattooed on his hand. Like
Hmm.
you can't even identify that was
Photoshopped. And the guy in the interview was like, that's photoshopped. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. And Trump wouldn't let it go.
no. And then you have the people who believe everything this man says, saying,
Yes.
yeah, he has MS-13. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you have the evidence right in front of you. It is clear as day that that is not a tattoo
Mhm.
and just superimposed on there. And I don't even think the person that did it with the intention of like fooling people into thinking it was
No,
a
they were
tattoo.
just like, oh, look, this is what M,
What it
this is what M.
represents.
Mhm.
Right. And we're
Whether
so
he believes whether he believes it or not, though, is what I'm still trying to wrap my head around because this is like sociopathic behavior is like thinking that if you say something, someone will believe you. Like saying the sky is green and the grass is
right.
blue over and over again and expecting people around you to believe it is sociopathic behavior. And we've talked about that, how he is
Yeah,
allegedly
allegedly.
a sociopath.
Allegedly, we believe it to be true. Because we're allowed to believe whatever we want to believe, right? We still have that right.
Now, for now. But yeah, so I mean, it just really makes me mad that like there are people out there, cis men leading churches, abusing girls and women and boys. I can't forget the boys, like abusing the boys are being abused, especially in like the Catholic churches, right? Um, and we're not targeting these religious leaders. We're not like trying to save these women and or these people.
Yeah,
Uh
we're not defunding churches.
yeah, we're doing the opposite. Like I think I saw somewhere in Texas where it was like religious schools are legally allowed to have state money now,
Yeah.
which
I
is
think Florida wants to do that too.
yeah, Florida's following shortly behind in Texas's footsteps, of course. So that's it's just
Well, I
really
guess with the vouchers, we're already doing that.
Yes, we're basically doing that with the vouchers. And it's really sad because people use the word scholarship instead of voucher. I'm like, it's not a scholarship. Like, oh yeah, my kid has a scholarship to go to this school. I'm like, that's not a scholarship. That's money being taken away from your public school so that
Mhm.
you can tell your kid that dinosaurs existed at the same time as humans. Like, no, no.
So I know somebody that works at Orange County, right, in the for the district, the
Hmm.
school district. And they're in charge of like new hires and like making sure the teachers have like their certifications up to date. I don't know how it all works,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what that means. She's
Hmm.
a person that you would turn this information into. Um, and she was mentioning how they have lost a lot of funding from kids leaving.
Yeah.
But she twisted it a little bit and was like, yeah, they're saying that it's because a lot of immigrants are afraid to come to school. And I
No,
was like,
no, it's the Christian
weird.
homeschoolers. That's what it is.
And so, I mean, she did say like that has a play in it, but she felt like it was more that it was immigrants that are afraid to go to school because Orlando does have a big Venezuelan
Well, it could be now.
could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, it could be
It,
now. But in the past, like this has been going on for years.
right.
Yeah.
And the vouchers are definitely taking effect. I mean, we're starting to see the negative impacts.
Yeah.
She said something like 9,000 teachers were let go. That
Hmm.
might be high. I don't know. I don't remember the number she mentioned,
Hmm.
but lots of teachers aren't
But
returning.
that's what's going to happen in our district, Flagler. I just saw the article that Pierre from Flagler Live put out about how we are going to be operating with like something like $1.3 million less next year, which in LaShaka Moore, the superintendent, is like, this is not sustainable. And I'm just like, well, I can't wait to see what happens because we're going to start seeing our children and their education directly impacted by this next year. And that actually reminds me, we need to talk about the teacher thinkathon.
Oh yeah.
So, Miss Frazzled, which is a very popular name in social media, uh, is teaming up with Defense of Democracy, and they are for in a I guess the whole month of May is Teacher Appreciation, even though the week is technically already passed. The whole month of May is a month, where you can show appreciation for your teachers, your kids' teachers or staff members that have made a difference in your kids or your life. And so Miss Frazzled she kind of like shifted into being this like education advocate, right? And so her video started out, they're still funny, but they started out as just like a funny educator that like made fun of like certain things in education in like a really funny way. But now she's sort of shifted more to advocacy and awareness. And so MILF for Books, our podcast, Moms into Literary Freedom, is very proud to and happy to have partnered with Miss Frazzled and the Defense of Democracy to show our teachers that we appreciate them. So on May 27th, the Flagler School Board will be having a meeting in which I will be attending and giving a public comment, thanking some of the teachers that have impacted me or my kids' lives. So if you're in Flagler and you happen to be listening to this, please attend the meeting on May 27th. Click on the link in our bio on any of our social media pages, and it will give you the information that you need to know to be a part of Miss Frazzled's Teacher Thinkathon.
Oh yeah. And if I'm off, I'll definitely be there.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can, I know in the past you could send in public comment. I don't know if they still do that, but like you could send it to, who do we know on the school board now? I feel like we don't know anybody anymore.
Not anyone we like.
Oh, Ruddy, we like Ruddy. Ruddy is
Oh
your,
yeah, yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's
I think we can send it to Ruddy, but then the rest of them I don't trust or like, so. But anyway, that's the teacher thinkathon. Um, what were we talking about before that? I had to plug that. We were talking about vouchers and
oh
all.
yeah, yeah. How we're starting to see, the negative effects. And if you think about it, even here, there's not enough private schools to sustain all these kids
Mm-mm.
if public schools go down. So the ones that are going to be affected are going to be the lower income ones because we all know those vouchers eventually are not going to cover the full tuition,
Mm-mm.
and that's going to leave the people who cannot afford it
Mm-hmm.
very much screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only that, like there's which is very important and probably arguably the most important part of this is like the systemic inequity that this is resulting in, that people refuse to acknowledge because either they don't care or they don't want to admit that they're a part of the problem. But in addition to that, I predict as a teacher that 5, 10 years down the road, we're going to see a drastic shift in scores in the wrong direction. Like it is not going to be good. Like
No,
critical thinking is going to go way down, and
right.
along with it will be math and reading scores. But
And I don't think, I mean, I think that is the point. I
yeah.
think that's exactly their goal because it is going to be much easier if they keep us poor and dumb.
Mhm.
We're very easy to control.
Yeah, that's true. But we are at the end of the day, we're still a democracy, I think. And hopefully, at least in the state of Florida, with DeSantis's, farewell, which
Right.
see you never like goodbye, don't come back, won't miss
Right.
like, fuck
Don't
off.
let the door hit you.
Yeah. Um, hopefully, we can elect someone who is not as pro voucher. Uh, but unfortunately, I don't think we're there yet. I think we need to hit rock bottom.
Not
And
in Florida.
yeah.
Yeah, Florida's
Mhm.
not there yet.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, basically this episode is just sort of like an attempt to bring awareness and truth to the fact that immigrants are people and they are disappearing and they are being kidnapped while religious leaders are still out there abusing their positions of power, and we need to keep up that narrative and talk about the truth and call Trump out every time he opens his mouth because every time he opens his mouth it's a lie.
Yeah. And it's not just immigrants that you have to worry about now because they are starting to up the ante and talking about can we deport US citizens,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. Like, what do you mean deport? Deport where?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, and like he was talking to like far-flung countries like in Western Africa of like deporting people there, which in these countries have had like human rights violations, and
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, who do you think they're going to start reporting or sorry, deporting if it comes to that? Like what marginalized group is next besides the black and the brown, non-US
Right.
citizens? It's going to be the LGBTQ community
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
because
And women, you're safe because they're gonna want to keep us here to make babies.
I
You know?
forgot about that. Oh yeah. As long as yeah, if we agree to apply for the Nazi motherhood medal
Right.
so that we can get and what if we have 6 kids, we get a shitty Nazi mommy medal.
You get
Uh
an award.
we get an award. Yeah, sure. I'll have more kids even though there's no federally mandated parental leave or the federal minimum wage is I don't know. It's like should be $76 an hour if you adjust for inflation, but it's what like $17 and I don't even know what it is. It's not
Yeah, those $5,000 are going to be so much help the
yeah.
first day of the
Yeah.
child's life.
Like here are all the reasons not to have more kids in this country. They terminated the Safe to Sleep program. Um, there's no universal health care. There's no ban on assault rifles. They're defunding public schools and libraries. There's nowhere near passing the Equality Act. Health care is a fucking shit show. If you have a miscarriage, then you could be charged with a fucking felony for murder and be put in jail. Like if you happen to have an ectopic pregnancy, which requires a medically induced abortion, right? You could go to jail. So no
Or you
thank
can die because you can't get one done.
yeah, you could die in jail, which I think has happened.
It has. Yeah.
So no, I don't want your mommy Nazi medal. No, thank you.
Right. We're good.
Yeah. Fucking crazy. It doesn't make any it's this like trad wife values that are masquerading as Christian, but
Yeah.
really it's just like a disgusting cult that is meant to oppress women into being quiet, submissive, and gentle when that's the last thing Jesus wanted.
Yeah. And it's so typical when you dig deeper into their lives. And it's not just like the what do you call that? The influencer version of them that you get.
Right.
Realize that their life is actually quite shitty.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're making money and it seems they have a nice house and blah
Mhm.
blah blah, but their husband's cheating on them or they're cheating on their husbands and they're like really it's a whole drama show when you get the
Mhm.
backstory.
Yeah, we need
So
a reality show like that
yeah,
reveals the truth, because yeah, they're not you there's no way they are making enough money in this economy to be able to stay home and just make their sourdough all day, like, right?
and they come from money already,
Oh,
or
true.
they might be making money selling that like the whole influencer life,
Mm-hmm. No, that's
but
it though, because like they make you think like with their digital products and stuff. It's like, oh, just buy my $50 digital product to teach you how to sell digital products and you'll become a millionaire. It's like, wait. You want me to buy your digital product that teaches me how to sell digital products? Something's fishy
that
here.
MLM scheme all over again.
Yeah, yeah. It's called something specific, but I can't remember. But you're right. You said something, they come from money. The ones that you see that have like the perfect little lives, first of all, it's not perfect. That's just what they show you on social media. But second of all, they come from money and they're able to have one income instead of two incomes, right?
Right.
And the ones that are trying to make it work who don't come from money are just pretending not to be poor.
Right. Yeah, that's 100% in debt, maybe
Yeah.
up to their eyeballs in debt.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, the influencer life, the ones that make it, obviously, then they start living well. But
And there's this is not against like women who want to be a trad wife. That's fine, but like don't spread misinformation about why little Tommy didn't get the measles vaccine. Don't be part of the problem. Like if you want to send your kid to a Christian public school, fine, pay for it yourself. Don't take it from the public school fund. I do want to
it,
say one thing about Jesus though. I love to talk about Jesus, even though I am not technically a
let me
Christian.
know, what was it? WWJY? No, JD.
JD, WWJD.
What would Jesus do?
Yeah,
We
what
should
would
do a whole
Jesus?
segment to that.
Oh my God, that's such a great idea. I love that. See, you're the idea person now. You're like, that was a joke, Courtney. I'm like, nope, we're
Yeah,
running with it. All right. So here's what Jesus would do, Jennifer. Okay. So this, have you heard of the Samaritans, like Good Samaritan?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that comes from the Bible. There's a town. I'm gonna get this terrible. I don't know anything about the Bible, but there's a woman from Samara. I don't know what it's called. She's a Samaritan woman, okay? And she starts having a conversation with Jesus in Samarita or whatever. And Jesus actually talks to her and they have this like intellectual conversation, right? And so ultimately this is in the Bible, John chapter 4 verses 1 through 42, where she technically is the first evangelist telling her entire village about Jesus, right? And so John 4 3 chapter 4 verse 39 says many Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. So this is not about women being silenced. This is about women being empowered to speak out and lead others to Christ, who did not believe in kidnapping people, who was an immigrant. He was an immigrant who was living in occupied Palestine, at the time. And so he obviously would not be okay with the kidnapping and illegal deportation of these people.
Right.
That's what I have to say. I'm
Yeah.
done.
100%. What would Jesus do? Not the bullshit that's happening now. That's what he would not do.
That is right. And that concludes our first segment on WWJD. What would Jesus do? Thanks for listening. And don't ban books.
Ban bigots.
Yep, we got it right.
This episode has been engineered and mixed by your hosts, Jennifer and Courtney.
You can listen to the Milford Books podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, or literally any podcast app you want.
If you want to watch a podcast, check out our Milford Books YouTube page. That's MILF, the number 4, books. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Follow the show on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and Blue Sky at MILF for Books. Again, that's MILF, the number 4, books. But follow us on TikTok at Moms Into Literary Freedom.
Thanks for listening.